Oh Nani, I'm home! Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that loves tangerine puzzles. That's right, they feed your brain and are a good source of vitamin C. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge, Season 36, Double Agents, Episode 12, and let's just start off where last episode left off because there's a ton that happened in the beginning of this episode. So where we left off was that TJ just announced that the compromised agents were Gabby and Devin, and then there was a security breach. And the security breach is that this is going to be a double men's elimination. And how this double elimination is going to work is that the team with the second highest number of votes, which is Josh and Nani, are going to also be compromised agents, and then CT and Big T have all the power this week as they get to decide the two people that will go up against Devin and Josh in this elimination. And so CT can either pick two different teams or pick himself and one other team to face these two, and that is huge. This is the most powerful double agents we've had in this game thus far. And the first decision they have to make is who's going to be going up against Devin. And so CT and Devin have been working this whole game together. So CT says, hey Devin, who do you want to go up against? And Devin's looking up and he decides he wants to go up against Darrell for no other reason but spite. And now it's time for CT to decide who's going to go up against Josh. And leading up to this moment, CT has said multiple times, give me the goof. I want the goof and I'm going to go up against the goof. And so he says that I'm going to go up against Josh in this elimination. So he sends himself down there. And so we have Devin versus Darrell, CT versus Josh in a game called Dead Ringer, which we saw this game play out where it was Cam versus Ashley. However, instead of rings being pulled off and trying to put onto these poles, instead, what the guys are going to have to do is swing to these poles, which are like taller and way farther out. You have to go up, grab these puzzle pieces, drop them. Once you have all 7 puzzle pieces, you have to get back to your podium, jump down, and then you have to collect all your puzzle pieces and put the tanagram together. The first person to do this wins, gets to either keep their gold skull or takes the other person's gold skull and stays in this game and is eligible to run TJ's final. Now the first duo that has to go up against each other is Devin and Darrell, and Darrell is super excited to be having this opportunity to go and get his gold skull. He didn't know if it was gonna happen. He is thanking Devin for calling him out, and honestly, coming into this elimination, the one thing that's going in Devin's way is this elimination. It's nothing physical, there is a puzzle, and so this is playing into Devin's wheelhouse, but I'm sure when CT was like, hey, pick who you want to go up against, and he turned around and he just saw heavy hitter after heavy hitter, he's thinking, all right, who do I have a better shot at winning against in a puzzle? So he picks Darrell. Of course, I knew Darrell was going to do the first half of this really, really well. I knew he was going to just knock it out of the park. I'm actually impressed on how Devin does in this first part, as they are like neck and neck as they're getting puzzle pieces. Darrell is just slightly faster getting all of his puzzle pieces, while Devin is not that far behind. Now they're both on the puzzle at the same time, and I'm thinking, come on, Darrell, pull this thing out. Devin has been funny, but I'm always pulling for Darrell. I want to see him get far into this game. And I'm sitting there watching these guys reset after reset going, will Devin actually pull this thing out coming from behind? Again, not that far from behind, but he could come back from behind. But then something clicks for Darrell. He stays calm and he gets this thing done. And I think it's funny because in the beginning of this season, if you remember back to like the declassified episode, if you remember next to the fire, we had Lolo and Devin talking, and Devin said, hey, give me a person, I'll give you their strengths and weaknesses. And then Lolo said, what about Darrell? And Devin said that he's a very physical player, but he's not so good at puzzles. I mean, it showed right here that Darrell was able to stay calm, cool, and collected in this elimination and win in a puzzle against someone who says that their strengths are puzzles. So Darrell wins, gets Devin's gold skull, and now we're on to CT versus Josh. Now I will say that I feel as though that CT is a pro at this point. He's seen this game run twice now, and he has this thing like locked up. He's getting the momentum rather quickly. He gets all 7 puzzle pieces, while when we look at Josh, he has his like feet hitting the podium, and he has to keep on resetting. He keeps on reaching. He's missing 1 or 2 puzzle pieces, and then CT gets all his puzzle pieces. He put them in a nice little pile, and then he went over there and just finished the puzzle rather quickly. And I think a lot of people were like, okay, well, of course CT wanted to go up against Josh, but Josh did really well on the slide puzzle, but CT was able to get these puzzle pieces so quickly that he didn't even have to worry about Josh getting to that puzzle board, because CT finished this thing in no time, wins, gets Josh's gold skull, and then once everyone is reconvened, we see that Josh and Devin are walking out of here. CT is excited, and I think this is interesting because in the confessional after this elimination, it seems as though that CT is really thinking heavily about his decision on whether he wants to stay with Big T or change partners. It feels as though that he's really juggling the two thoughts in his mind, but when we get down to where TJ is asking CT whether he wants to stay with Big T or change his partner, that's when it's like an emotional volcano. He just emphatically and sporadically and erratically just yells for Cam to get down here, that she is his partner. F you, Kyle. This is us. We're going to make it to the finals together. This is it. And I get CT is just super excited. He's feeling like, okay, up to this point, they've been icing me out. Now I got my chance to get my gold skull. I got my gold skull. Now he's feeling like the finals are an actual thing. I mean, there was one point in the confessional, he said that this would be a rebuilding season. And now that he has his gold skull, he's thinking, wow, I could actually do this thing. I could possibly get to a finals and win as long as I got a good partner that can finish these finals with me. And so he picks Cam, but the way he picks Cam is what everyone has a problem with. And I feel as though that everybody can agree that the way he went about picking Cam is just mad disrespectful to Big T and is a bit childish. But Cam comes down, and so now CT and Cam are a duo, and Darrell gets to choose whether he wants to switch partners or stay with Amber B, and he decides to stay with Amber. And now Kyle, because he had his partner taken from him, he gets to choose whether he wants to be partnered up with Nani, Gabby, or Big T. He decides to go back to being partnered with Nani. And now Corey, because he was the rogue agent first, he gets to choose either Gabby or Big T, and he decides he's going to choose Gabby because she helped finish that puzzle and win into the double agents with Devin that one time with the totem pole puzzle. So now Gabby and Corey are partners, and that leaves Nam and Big T. And can I just say, coming into this elimination, Big T was the double agent. She helped win CT into power and get his gold skull, and now she's getting picked last in this whole situation. It's incredible how everything just reshuffled and how everybody's priorities were going all crazy which way. Now back at the challenge house, that's where a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings are coming out. People are just letting it out. We first get some moments with Gabby and Corey as Gabby mentions that yes, Devin might have a punchable face, and we did not see eye to eye on a lot of the strategy or the gameplay, but I'm gonna miss him. We did connect, but I feel that me and Corey have a lot of potential, and maybe we could go far into this game. And then we move on to Nani, who's giving a 21 tier salute to Josh leaving the game. She is feeling empty that Josh is out of this game, and she doesn't really want to be partnered up with Kyle. She felt like there was some meaning and some fun when Josh was around and she was partnered up with him, but now she feels a little bit empty now being partnered up with someone else. Now speaking of Kyle, in the kitchen, he's talking to everybody going like, how could CT do this? Apparently, heading into the elimination or before heading into the elimination, CT said, hey, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna take Cam away from you, but he did. So now Kyle is like, why would he do this? He totally backstabbed me. That's when CT comes into the kitchen, grabs a thing of turkey, and now it is CT and turkey versus Kyle, and they're yelling at each other, talking about how they're blindsided from each other and they backstab each other, they lied to each other in this game, and that's why CT had to do what CT had to do, just take the L, Kyle. And Kyle has to take the L because there's nothing he can do besides go into another elimination, win, and then take Cam back, but he doesn't want to go back into an elimination. Nobody who has a gold skull wants to go back into an elimination, so Kyle just has to take the L and walks away as CT is just hangry. And then also in the other room, Big T is feeling used, and she gets a couple of hugs from Cam, and she is just feeling like utterly betrayed by CT. He could have just told me that he wanted to trade partners, because it's clear that he wanted to trade partners, but why wouldn't he just say that to me instead of just acting like this whole game I've been thinking of ways to try to go down, get a gold skull, and take you from Kyle. But then Big T is over here and he's talking to her saying like, I promise we're always going to be here and we're going to run this thing. And he never really fully told her the truth. And that's where she's having a big problem with this. We move on to the next morning, where Nam just can't hide his back pain from the house any further. And that's when everybody is telling him like, you need to go to the hospital. The only thing that'll help you out is going home or going to the hospital, getting it checked out. Back pain is a real thing and it is a real struggle. So don't just take this lightly. We also move on later in the day. Everyone's packing up to go to a field trip to a hot spring, and everyone gets to have a relaxing time. Leroy and Cam get to have some moments alone, privacy to themselves in the hot spring, so things are getting extra hot, if I do say so myself. Then we have CT sending Big T some champagne, trying to smooth things over, maybe open the door, maybe bridge the gap a little bit of what happened the night before. But Big T is talking to Corey, and Big T is like, I can't believe CT would do this. I'm willing to talk things out with him. We also have a conversation between Nany and Amber, where Nany is like, look, Kyle's great and all, but I don't want to be partnered up with them. If anything, I want to go into the elimination, and if I win, I want to take Fessy and have him be my partner, and I'll kick Kyle to the curb. And so we have a lot of things in motion happening within this episode. We could see a lot of things going that maybe is foreshadowing later on in this game. We move back to the challenge house, where Nam's back is, he's just done. I mean, Leroy came up saying like, it looks like y'all are sitting around a dead body, the way he was just sitting there so still. On the Aftermath show, he was talking about how he lost his appetite, he was losing weight. It was just a really, really bad situation. So finally, he decides that he wants to go to hospital, and so Kyle helps escort him out to the car, and he goes to the hospital, and then CT makes a bonfire and wants to sit down 1v1 with Big T and talk this thing out, hash things over, and see where they lie at the end of all this. And so it starts off, Big T is just letting it all out, saying like, trust me, I get it why you want to switch out partners. Nobody really wants to be my partner in this game. I totally understand that. But why couldn't you just tell me the truth? I thought from the very beginning we were friends, and you were so kind and great with me that I thought we were friends, that we could work anything out. But when it comes down to it, you kind of just throw me to the curb like I don't even exist. You act like I'm the worst partner by the way you pick Cam. So at the end of the day, it's not that he picked Cam, it's the way he picked Cam, and kind of was, I pick Cam and I push away Big T. This is just showing that all of that was kind of a facade that he was putting on. He was putting on a mask to be friends with Big T for the duration of what they were going to be, but when he got the first opportunity, he kind of just like, bleh. Thank you for getting me here, but bleh. And I know down in the crater, in the midst of Cam coming down, he did say like, Big T, you're a great partner, you did great, get me to this spot, but I have to go with Cam kind of thing. But he kind of says it like, oh, as an aftermath thought, and he's still in his like, adrenaline pumping, like, oh my gosh, Cam, get down here kind of thing. And it wasn't as sincere as it could have been if he would have just led with that and then picked Cam. Maybe it would have come off more as like, this is logistical for the game and nothing personal, but the way he did it, it felt a little bit more of a personal dig, the way he was going for Cam, saying how great she was, while also kind of like backhanding compliment Big T at the end of the day. Now CT gets a chance to speak, and he's kind of like going over about how there's nothing that could break her spirit, but I'm sorry that it broke your heart and you're not ready for the final. And that's when Big T is just like, wait a minute, what now? Like, you're making this a whole different thing than what it is, and that's not exactly what I was saying, and you're now making it something else, and this whole thing explodes, and this ends with Big T saying that CT is a piece of crap and that she doesn't want to be friends with him because friends don't talk to friends that way, and she storms out, and CT is like, I thought this was going one way, I thought this was really working out, and then it completely flipped. And now there's a lot of people who do not trust CT in this game, and it doesn't help that Devin is gone, his closest ally in the game. And then at the end of this episode, we have Nam being medically DQ'd for his back. So now CT's closest two allies in the game are gone. Now granted, he is partnered up with Cam, but there's still plenty of eliminations where guys are gonna go into an elimination and possibly steal Cam away from CT. So CT could feel good right now being partnered up with Cam, but you're gonna have to win out and be double agents for nobody to be looking at Cam as a possible partner left in this game. Now, I know I jumped ahead a little bit, but we move on to later on in the night. Nam comes back to the house after getting what sounds to be a cortisone shot, and he goes and sleeps a little bit. Then we move on to the next morning where Leroy and Casey are working out with each other, and they're talking about how great their partnership is. They're not butting heads or anything, and they just want to get to the finals together and run the final and win all that money together. And this is just like sending alarm bells. I mean, this has to be foreshadowing. This reminds me of last episode in the daily challenge where Cam and Kyle were talking about how they love being partnered up with each other and how they don't want to be split up and how they want to win out and they want to run the finals together. And so this is sending alarm bells in my head that there's possibly something going to happen that's going to split Leroy and Casey. I mean, there's going to be a women's elimination next week. So could that play into a factor of what is going to happen? We move on to everyone wondering if there's going to be even a challenge today, because normally the challenges happen in the morning, but it is well after lunchtime, but then the challenge activate bells go off and there's going to be a night challenge. And so everyone gets their garb up, they go meet TJ in a warehouse, and TJ is standing there, he addresses Nam, and I already talked about it, but Nam is being medically DQ'd from the season because of his back, and in the Aftermath show, Nam is talking about how his back is fully healed, he is ready, and he says that he wants to come back for the next season. I hope that happens because I feel as though that Nam didn't get a fair shakeout this season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him stronger, better, faster, that Daft Punk song for the next season. And now we're gonna end this episode getting a little bit of a taste of what to expect for the next challenge episode, which is going to start at the daily challenge called Survive the Night, where these players are going to be in cages. Each team is going to have their own cage. They're going to be chained up to each other, and they're going to have to do a series of tasks to endure the night. The team to endure the night and survive the night will win into the double agents and hold all the power. And I think this is really, really funny because leading up to this daily challenge, Corey has been like, he wanted to do all the helicopter daily challenges. He thinks they're so cool. And then the one that TJ says, welcome to your nightmare, and saying that this is going to be terrible and horrible, Corey is going to have to participate in. I just thought that was really, really funny. Like the one daily challenge or nightly challenge that he's going to be participating in is the one that's like going to be the worst and the most mentally draining and the one that he has to endure the hardest. I mean, my goodness, like that is just really, really funny. But that is it for this episode. We leave off on a cliffhanger, but they had to do it to reset the episode, so we're going to get a daily challenge voting and an elimination next episode. We can get back on track. But what did you think about this episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. What do you think about CT getting a skull? What do you think about CT and the way he picked Cam? Let me know that in the comment section below. What do you think about everything that transpired? What do you think about Nam being medically DQ'd and everything else that happened in this episode? There's so much that happened in this episode. What do you think about everything and anything? Let me know that in the comment section below. Also, while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge 36 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.